Hello, and thank you for coming to Talking a While podcast where we
You're
talk about
welcome.
anything and everything. Um, I guess Siri is feeling very, very grateful because she just decided to chime in. So first episode featuring another person, and it's Siri, of course. Um, I just recorded the episode about how I started journaling and how I wanted to make myself better and how I want to track these habits and things of those natures. Since then, it's been nearly an hour, and I've been bawling my eyes out. I'll be honest. It is 1:13 a.m. now, and now I have a full page in said journal written. I was gonna talk in this podcast about being kind and all those things, but what I wrote um in this journal is kind of the media I have been consuming and how, not really the media, but just how I've been thinking and everything like that. There's a few points that I want to talk about, but it's like it let me just read this first or read some parts of it. It says, damn, I feel so like personal right now, but I feel the only way for me to get through this is to shine direct light on it. So let me get to reading. But here it goes. I did everything right. I want it more than anyone wants it. What a weird year. I promise you I'm a nice person. I want to be remembered. I have an urge to be remembered. I feel a need to etch my name, my goals, my promises in every surface. Yeah, I don't remember the last time I laughed so hard that I couldn't breathe. I can love, miss, and think of someone so much, but you have to have a wisdom to know that they aren't for you or for your life. I want to make it. I want to prove my, I want to prove myself. But who am I proving it to? I feel as if I'm doing everything wrong, every day, all at once. No one I look to has a rule book or YouTube videos tell me or show me how to not fuck up my life. People don't want me to feel sad, so they give me the benefit of the doubt. But I beg them to doubt me. I need to prove to someone that they're wrong, or prove that they're wrong. It's an inhuman urge that I need to satisfy. I feel as if I need and owe people clarity when I can't even see through my own thoughts. I feel I'm losing myself to my own mind. I love kitchen work because of the philosophy all parts of a buffalo, which means even if something isn't perfect one thing, it'll work slash be used in another thing, such as the ends of an onion being put into a stalk when you can't brunoise or julienne them. I keep catching myself being drawn to light, such the light, such as the light that filters through tree branches, the light that creeps under the door frame, the light that catches in your windows, that shines on the Christmas tree ornaments, the light that peeks through your window blinds. And I stare at it for a long time. And I wish I could be the light. I wish I could be in the light. Anytime I feel proud, like I finally made it, somewhere, somehow, I think of my sister. A bond, a relationship that should have never been severed. How I couldn't save her, that I could only save myself, and that I only saved myself. I want people to see my heart. I want people to understand my intentions, that I'm not a villain, that I have fuck, that I have the most love for them and for everyone. You never got to grow up with me. And I regret that. Fuck. And I regret that. How can people tell me that these years are supposed to be the best of my life? When I wake up being sad. Bro, I can't fucking speak. Like, I'm dying. I have to one day decide that I don't want to drown anymore. but I don't even know how to swim. I miss you in every way possible. I miss being mad at you. I miss touching you, and I miss thinking of you. And that's all I was able to fit on that page. um, yeah, there was a moment there where I was talking about my sister. And to clarify, the touching you wasn't talking about my sister. I started thinking about the past relationship I was in and how I miss them, even though they are still very close to me. Um, I'm a fucking mess right now. I'll be honest, and I know that I can do things, and I know that I know how to do things, but it's so hard to do those things, and it's so hard to even try to swim, to try to even come up for air sometimes. And it's hard for me to even like justify thinking half these things or to justify even writing half the things. Like I said, it took me nearly an hour to write that. And I was able to read it in like what, 2 to 3 minutes. I sit here every day wishing I was better at something. Wishing I was more perfect, that I had more love in me, that I had more forgiveness in me. And me wishing that I had more love and more forgiveness just turns into anger, and that anger just turns into hatred, and that hatred just turns in on itself and becomes self-hatred. And I honestly don't know how to make it turn back into love. I sit here and like I said, I'm just so full of hate and discontentness and everything else. And my only saving grace right now, and it's not even about me, my only saving grace right now is work. And that is so fucking depressing to say and so terrible to say, but my saving grace is work. Because at work everything makes sense. At work there's rules for me to follow. At work there's guidelines, there's ways to do things, and like I said, the philosophy of all parts of Buffalo, something and everything has a place somewhere somehow, and it works out. You know, when you cut an onion at home, you have the skin and the little scraggly bits, and the sometimes you have a green core or the outer layer you peel off because it looks a little weird. That has a place in a kitchen. That has a place to be cooked, to be eaten in. And knowing that something has a place like that, that knowing that something will be able to be used correctly and nothing goes to waste, is such a comforting thought. And all the rules and the standards and the busyness of a kitchen is what keeps me sane sometimes. It allows me to move and do things and feel proud of myself without even having to think inwards about myself. I can sit here and make 1,000 different dishes for you in a day, and by the end of it, I feel a little bit better about myself. I feel that I accomplished something, that I fed people, that I made them happy, that I celebrated something with them. But as soon as I go home and take off my jacket and my shoes and sit down for a second, everything just comes flooding back. And I think, what the fuck is the point? What the fuck am I supposed to be doing? I'm 20 fucking years old. I'm supposed to be out having fun with people and making friends and doing all these things that are supposed to set me up for success. And I sit here with 2 jobs, scrolling endlessly, having these thoughts that I don't know what to fucking do with. Having these thoughts of self hatred and regrets and everything. And I just don't know how to let them go, how to use them in a stock or a soup. I don't know how to do that. These are all the ugly ends and the burnt bits and everything that usually has a place to go but I don't have a place for it to go. And I think that's why my relationship with the Bible and Jesus and God and everything is beginning to grow so much, because I almost feel okay when I think about that. I almost feel okay when I think about forgiving relationships, and I almost feel okay when I can explain away certain things via verses and things like that. And I keep coming back to God, but a lot of people seem to a lot of people come in and bash, or like, well, God's not real, it's just a hope, you know? And maybe that is the truth. Maybe there is nothing. But there's something comforting about being in a community that I'm not actually physically with, but there's a mental connect. There's a connection. And that connection I've been clawing at for years. The point where I don't even have fucking fingers anymore. Like, I've been clawing so hard that I'm missing half of my arm. And I think that's very important for me to find. I think it's very important for me to feel these fucking things and to feel this bad about myself and to feel like this. And it's hard to even like admit to myself that it's this bad, and that's not okay. And then I sit here and I blame it on other people, and I show myself hatred towards others, and that unforgivingness I push it onto others because I can't live with it myself. I sit here and scroll aimlessly to help forget things, to overload my brain so I don't have to think. And I sit here and I try to distract myself by making myself so busy, by working 60, 70-hour weeks to scroll for those remaining hours of the day, to sleep, to literally do anything that is not productive. So I don't have to think. So I don't have to think, oh, maybe I should be doing this too. And then I think, I want to be remembered. I want to etch my name into every surface there is. Because I want to prove to somebody that I can be more than a sister who left, a sister who abandoned their siblings, a sister who moved 3,000 miles away from them, an ex who couldn't get over the fact that they hated themselves so much that they couldn't love another person, a cook that did everything perfectly because they couldn't come to terms with their own life. I don't even know what to do. I just need, I don't know. I just need to prove something to someone. And I need to win. I need to sit here and quote Kanye West and ask myself, what am I going to do if I don't win? But I just need to win. You know, I need to be remembered. I need to want it more than anyone. I need to be okay with making it better and coming forth and being open and all those things. And that's where we're talking to this cheap ass mic in front of my computer with the bad sitting posture comes in and helps, because it allows me to admit these things. It allows me to come to terms and vocalize these things, because I'm sure as hell not going to say this to anybody. I'm not going to go to work and tell my coworker, oh yeah, you know, I think I'm a piece of shit person. Because at the end of the day, they're going to give me the benefit of the doubt, be like, oh, you're not a piece of shit. You, you're not a bad sibling because you left them 3,000 miles away, because you left them in a toxic environment, because of X, Y, and Z. Because they're going to give me that benefit. And here, I can sit here and look at myself and be like, you don't get the benefit of the doubt. You don't deserve the benefit of the doubt. You deserve to be doubted. You deserve to be hated. Like, I sit here and I realize I'm like, maybe I am right about everything. Maybe I am the villain. And maybe I need to be the villain, you know? Because at the end of the day, maybe I am the scapegoat, you know? There's a TikTok somewhere that I liked. Let me pull it up. The user is Haley Grace, or I guess the app on TikTok is Haley Grace Poetry. She has nearly 1 million followers. She's really known. Um, she has a book about this stuff, but she says there's some stranger who remembers you because you held a door for them, and on that day their heart felt a little too heavy. There's a there's another thing that she says. She's like, you didn't even think twice about it because you never do with things like that. Little tiny things. They carried that kindness with them until they had enough for themselves and other people around them. And then she goes on to say that sondering is terrifying and beautiful all at once, which is very true. That another person walking by you has just as deep, as complicated, as a hateful, regretful, loving, caring, beautiful life as complicated as yours. You know, it's insane and it's terrifying to think about that. To think that somebody has a life just like yours, and yet I'm here sitting crying about words that I wrote on a page. You know, ugh. And then she goes on to like talk about how like maybe once you told a girl you liked her shoes so casually that it nearly meant nothing. And she almost looked confused as she smiled, almost like she had forgotten how to be happy and complimented because she had convinced herself there's no more kindness in the world that was left for her. But then you liked her shoes, and she smiled and laughed, and for a moment, she felt visible. Like there's some kindness left for her and for her life. So she went home the next morning and woke up. You know, there's there's this girl, her, that I admire so much for being able to say those things and be able to realize and be the person on the other side of those saying things. And I just feel so I feel so seen and so heard. It just makes me cry. And then I have to remind myself that it's gonna be okay. But I have to tell myself it's not gonna be because I need to prove somebody. I have that inhuman urge to prove somebody wrong, and maybe it has to be myself. And then I remember my siblings and the people that I've wronged. Because I never had to ask my sister to be a good friend. I never had to ask people to be nice to me. And yet I chose to not be nice to them. You know? Yeah. Sometimes I think I have too many thoughts for my head. But I just think this is a very important episode to have out. Not even to have out for anybody to listen, just for me to come back. And I said this in the last episode, but this is not gonna make sense. But what I wrote is probably gonna kill me. And I think I'm gonna start writing every day. So I can collect my thoughts. Because I want to forgive myself. And in order for me to forgive myself, I have to know what I'm forgiving myself for. And how and why and where I'm going to do it. Because I want to be drawn to the light. I want to find the light in the cracks and in the trees and everything. And I don't want to feel like I'm doing everything wrong every day all at once. You know? I want to be able to pinky promise that I'm a nice person. I want to laugh so hard that I can't breathe every single day with somebody that I love, with somebody that I care about, with somebody that I want to be kind to. You know, I sure hope that somewhere, somehow, I can begin to realize again how nice life is. And I say those words, and I can sit here and think that life is beautiful. But in my heart right now, I don't believe it. So, very depressing episode. I'm very sorry if there is somebody listening to it. Um, I'm okay. I promise. Um, Nothing rash is gonna be happening, but I feel that nobody says these kinds of things, and I feel like you need to be honest with yourself with these kinds of things, and you need to be seen. You need to know that somebody else, the same age as you, the same, living in the same world as you, in the same country, same state, same city, whatever, thinks like this and everything. So I hope I hope everything is okay with you, and I hope that you're able to have a nice day and be kind to yourself. It's obviously something I'm working on and trying to work on and coming to terms with, I guess. But yeah, be a good person. Take a second to be grateful for something. Text somebody that you're thinking of them, that you love them, that you're praying for them. And yeah, thank you for listening. I'll see you next time.